All right, good morning, guys. A little bit of morning prep here, Friday version. So we got one more day to finish strong. Before we jump in, guys, if you aren't already, you can check me out on Twitter at FocusTradesT. And for this morning's video, guys, right, we're going to do a little bit of talk about the market here. We are going to go over a couple of setups that I posted here for the Focus Trades group this morning. But as far as the market goes, guys, my key level of focus for ES is going to be this 2808 level here today. Now, this level is of importance to me here, this morning. It's basically, guys, where we opened up yesterday. Once we kind of broke through that level of resistance yesterday morning, the market rated a really nice push towards the upside. Ultimately, that did fail. And more importantly, guys, right, I like to look at the strength of the move to the upside, the strength or weakness, rather, of the move to the downside at or around a key level, right? That lets me know that there's a lot of buyers and sellers active at that given level. So if we look at ES here, there's a lot of selling as it gets rejected. There's a lot of selling again as it gets rejected, right? And then again, and then there's a very strong move to the upside, right? When it came back and broke below that level once again, it was a really ugly dump, right? A really ugly dump. So in other words, guys, there's a lot of accumulation and a lot of distribution taking place. There's a big battle between buyers and sellers at that 2808 level. And we can see here this morning in the futures, we did make a good pump up right underneath that level, and now we're starting to fade. So for today's session, guys, I think, what the market can do in relation to that 2808 level is probably going to set the tone for things going into the weekend here. If we can reverse and potentially break back above, then hey, maybe we see a nice Friday pump, making a move back towards yesterday's highs. In the event, though, that we fail to break back above 2808, we got this rejection here this morning, we could easily see things begin to roll over towards the downside. If we do, guys, I would not be surprised to see us fall as far as 2752. Now, the reason behind that 2752 is that is the 15-period simple moving average here on the daily chart. So we're kind of banging right, and we're starting to wedge with resistance at the 50 SMA, which is the yellow moving average here, and then we got support at that 15 MA. So easily, guys, our level to the upside could bring the market above the 50 MA today. If we fail to get back above that 2808 and we do get rejected and fade, we could easily go right back towards that 15 MA at 2782. So as far as key levels for the index, that's what I'm looking at here for today's session, guys. If we can break above, if we fail to break above, to me, that's going to set the tone for today's session. And as always, we want to be aiming to take our trades in the individual stocks in the same direction as the market itself here. So guys, one of my favorite setups is the TTM squeeze, which was created by John Carter. So you can check him out at simpleroptions.com. But this has been a favorite setup of mine for a handful of years now. And every morning I write a scan and I post the scan results here in the members area for the Focus Trades members. For today's session, guys, to be honest with y'all, not really that much attractive as far as squeezes, right? You got Disney, Uber, TLT, which I have a put spread in, as well as work squeezing on the daily chart. You got a kind of sloppy 4-hour squeeze for Netflix. You got Disney, Shop, Roku here on the hourly, Amazon, Johnson & Johnson, and again Shop here on the 30. So the one that is, kind of most attractive to me this morning, guys, is definitely Shop here. So let's get Shop up. Let's pull up the Bollinger Bands as well as the TTM squeeze. All right, and you can see, guys, we got the squeeze down here on the hourly chart, and we take a trip over here to the 30-minute chart, and you got a squeeze as well. Now, before even looking at the squeeze, guys, I want to look at the daily chart. Obviously, Shopify has been very, very strong as of late, ripping towards an all-time high, and now we're kind of starting to cool down. So the question is, what's the next move for this thing? Is it going to continue to pump to the upside and potentially come up here and break those highs? Or is some profit taking going to come in? This thing is completely, guys, ran away from the 15 SMA. And you can see as a general statement, when something really blows up and runs away from that moving average, they're going to catch up together at some point. So it could definitely go either way. As usual, guys, it'll likely go with the direction of the market. But you got this squeeze here, right? You got one of two ways, guys, of playing this squeeze. You think that this thing's going to fire and break out to the upside, you can grab some calls inside the consolidation when they're cheap before that implied volatility is spiked, or you can actually sit here and wait to play that potential breakout. If you think that this squeeze might fire to the downside, you can buy puts while it is in the consolidation of the Bollinger Bands, while they're cheap, or you can look to short it on the break below, right? Different ways to trade squeezes, guys. You can look at a few of the videos I put up over the last week or so, diving a bit deeper into that squeeze setup. And I do like the fact that it is squeezing on 2 time frames, right? The more time frames a stock is squeezing in, generally the better chances of that thing making a big move once it does fire. So that's kind of the one good looking setup for today, guys. But more importantly than market levels and setups here, what I want to talk to you guys about was, risk management on a Friday. I want to remind you guys, our job as a trader is to just slowly move the ball forward week after week, month after month, right? And year after year for a very long time. So, in the spirit of that goal, you want to be careful on a Friday, guys. If you've had a good Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? If you've made money the last 4 days heading into today, understand that you've done your job for the week. Your job is to show up on Monday and leave Friday with more money than you had the last week. If you've done that, guys, one of the worst things we can do as traders, I've done it, I'm sure y'all have done it, is we blow away all of our gains that we made Monday through Thursday on Friday, right? And then you got to deal with the miserable ass all weekend, and we know the frustration that can bring. So one piece of advice I have, guys, to kind of avoid doing that is you want to protect this week's gains. So, for example, right, for those of you who say a smaller account, if you this week, guys, right, you're coming into Friday morning and you have $500 of profit Monday through Thursday. My advice for today, guys, right? If you see a setup that you want to take, right? It's an absolutely picture perfect A+ setup, right? You just can't resist the temptation to take that thing. You can take that trade, but again, we don't want to ruin this week's forward progress. We don't want to go into the weekend pissed off and emotional. If you've made, guys, for example, $500 of profit Monday through Thursday, I would come into today's session with the mindset that you're not going to risk more than $100, right? If you've profited $500 this week, you've closed $500 of profits, one would argue you don't even have to trade. You've already accomplished your job. But if there's some setup, guys, that you just can't fucking help not taking, risk no more than 100. Now, what is the benefit of this, guys? If the trade that you take works, right, you're making more money. If the trade that you take doesn't work and it blows up and it goes to zero and you lose the full $100, that's okay because you're still going to be net $400 up on the week. You've done your job. You've moved the ball forward. And you're not going into the weekend, guys, with kind of those emotional struggles of blowing all the week's gains on a Friday. So that's really more so the purpose of today, guys. Give you something to think about here heading into this Friday session. Protect this week's progress. And say you're in the hole this week. Well, don't dig yourself a deeper hole. Much love to you guys. If you haven't already subscribed, we're on our way to 2,000 subscribers. I'll talk to you guys soon.